How significant is this Strategic Defense Cooperation Agreement, a landmark, proper written pact between Saudi Arabia and Pakistan? Any aggression or attack on Saudi will be considered an attack on Pakistan, and any attack on Pakistan will be considered on Saudi. How significant it is, and what will be its impact on bilateral relations?
The most important significance of this agreement is that it proves that Pakistan is no longer merely a South Asian power. The international community considers Pakistan as a net security stabilizer beyond South Asia. I don't think this bilateral agreement will be the only such agreement. Other Middle Eastern countries may also consider entering into some sort of greater defense cooperation arrangement with Pakistan. This growing trust of Middle East in Pakistan's military capability and capacity is a direct consequence of Pakistan's military prowess and performance, which it demonstrated in the May conflict with India.
Do you think there is any possible external security threat to Saudi Arabia that it finally negotiated this agreement with Pakistan? Is
pretty much every Arab nation, if not manifested as a direct threat, but it is definitely a source of concern and growing threat perception throughout the Arab world. Pakistan has been sending its military officers to Saudi Arabia as military advisors.
True.
So they already trust Pakistan, not just with training, but our advice is sought in terms of selecting and procuring and inducting most advanced weapon systems.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Hello and welcome to Program Insight in V News English. Dear viewers, there is a very, very important strategic development, and that development is Pakistan and Saudi Arabia have signed Strategic Defense Cooperation Agreement. Agreement was signed during Prime Minister Shahbaz Sharif's visit to Riyadh, where in Royal Palace, Prime Minister Shahbaz Sharif held talks with Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman. These talks were also attended by Chief of Army Staff Field Marshal Asim Munir. So, according to initial information available as far as this Strategic Defense Cooperation Agreement is concerned, that any aggression or attack on Saudi Arabia will be considered an attack or aggression on Pakistan. If there is any aggression or attack on Pakistan, that will be considered an attack or aggression on Saudi Arabia. Why both countries felt need to sign this particular agreement? In today's conversation, we will not only discuss this important landmark defense strategic agreement between two countries, its consequences, and of course, the rise of Pakistan in the aftermath of 10th May Marka-e-Haq. What is Pakistan's current security stature? The changing dynamics of security in the Middle East, that will also be part of our conversation. Israeli attack on Qatar, and after that, number of important diplomatic events which were hosted by Qatar, including Arab OIC meeting and beyond. And in today's conversation, we will also touch the Israeli ground offensive in Gaza. We are fortunate to have with us Dr. Syed Muhammad Ali, who is Senior Strategic Affairs Analyst, and despite his very busy schedule, he has been very kind to participate in our program. Thank you so much for sparing time. How significant is this Strategic Defense Cooperation Agreement, a landmark, proper written pact between Saudi Arabia and Pakistan, that any aggression or attack on Saudi will be considered an attack on Pakistan, and any attack on Pakistan will be considered on Saudi. Although in the past, both countries used to cooperate in security domain, used to support each other, but this is a formal defense strategic cooperation agreement. How significant it is, and what will be its impact on bilateral relations?
Thank you for having me on your show. I think this is a very historic bilateral agreement between Pakistan and Saudi Arabia for several reasons. The most important significance of this agreement is that it proves that Pakistan is no longer merely a South Asian power. It indicates that the international community considers Pakistan as a net security stabilizer beyond South Asia, but also as an important country which commands the trust and respect of the most important Middle Eastern country for its own security and maintaining peace and security. So geopolitically, I would say, and diplomatically, it is a very significant development because it places Pakistan as a security guarantor of the most important Islamic country and the most important Arab state as well. Secondly, I think there are several aspects which deserve consideration. The timing is significant, and it is definitely important because Middle Eastern countries have faced attack on 7 Middle Eastern countries in only past 2 years.
In past 2 years.
So there is a growing sense of insecurity and lack of trust in the international institutions, in the international law to protect the sovereignty and national security of several Middle Eastern countries. So the second most significant aspect of this agreement is that I don't think this bilateral agreement will be the only such agreement. I expect
between two countries, there could be
I
more?
expect the other Middle Eastern countries may also consider entering into some sort of greater defense cooperation arrangement with Pakistan. For the simple reason, because Saudi Arabia is not just the center of Islam, not just the most important, largest and resourceful Arab state, and it has the 2 most sacred, holiest sites of Islam. If it considers Pakistan as the most suited, most capable, and most trustworthy country among the entire 57-member OIC to provide security, then definitely there are other countries which are smaller, have less resources, but feel more threatened due to the uncertain and unstable Middle Eastern environment, who can also learn from the Saudi example and can explore similar defense cooperation agreement with Pakistan. The third most significant aspect is that I think this growing trust of Middle East in Pakistan's military capability and capacity is a direct consequence of Pakistan's military prowess and performance, which it demonstrated in the May conflict with India. And Pakistan ably demonstrated that it effectively retaliated against a much larger aggressor, lawfully, effectively, and responsibly. So that has improved Pakistan's international status as a very capable but very responsible military power. So now Pakistan has emerged as a guarantor of peace and security and stability in Middle East beyond South Asia as well. And if you compare it, in contrast, India has lost its status, has lost its reputation, and lost its image as a responsible or a rising power. So its status has also declined. Lastly, I would say it also is a manifestation of the successful Pakistani military diplomacy. And you know very well, Field Marshal Asim Munir, in earlier stages of his career, has been posted in Saudi Arabia for 3 years So he knows the country very well. He knows their military very well. And after his successful performance as a military leader against India, I think his respect and image has improved further in the eyes of the Saudi military leadership, that they have directly and immediately entrusted him with improving their security needs, which brings both countries together. And I think in days to come, it will be a very comprehensive and close partnership.
So, as you nicely elaborated the security outlook of Middle East, do you think there is any possible external security threat to Saudi Arabia that it finally negotiated this agreement with Pakistan? Is any external threat, possible threat to Saudi Arabia from anywhere?
I think there are several aspects which I think has convinced Saudi Arabia that it can entrust Pakistan with improving its security at the regional level. I think generally the first and foremost factor is the inability of international institutions and international law to protect the sovereignty and security of several Arab countries. Secondly, there is a growing preponderance, aggression, and expansionism being evident from the Israeli behavior, which has unnerved, I think, pretty much every Arab nation, if not manifested as a direct threat, but it is definitely a source of concern and growing threat perception throughout the Arab world. Thirdly, I think Pakistan's capacity and will to successfully defeat a much bigger enemy has allowed Saudi Arabia to consider timely and significantly improve their close bilateral relation, which is already long-standing. You know very well that Saudi Arabia frequently sends its officers for higher training in Pakistani military institutions. I've been teaching them for almost 15 years myself at Pakistan's National Defense University, at Army Staff College, at Air War College, at Naval War College. So that means that they trust the quality of Pakistan's training to sort of develop their own military leadership. Secondly, we have frequent military exercises which allow both countries to share experiences with each other. I recall very well Saudi Air Force has been sending some of their most advanced fighter aircraft, including Tornadoes and F-15 fighters, which the Israelis and American Air Force also fly to Pakistan to benefit from the professional excellence and training philosophy of Pakistan. So, and lastly, you may know that Pakistan has been sending its military officers to Saudi Arabia as military advisors. So they already trust Pakistan, not just with training, but our advice is sought in terms of selecting and procuring and inducting most advanced weapon systems. They've been seeking Pakistani advice. Which weapon system is more suitable for their needs.
Pakistan.
Always. So they already trust it. So while Saudi Arabia has a lot of money, they have very advanced weaponry. But I think how Pakistani leadership, Pakistani training quality, Pakistan's morale, professional excellence has impressed the world. I think Saudi Arabia is wise to benefit from it to meet its security needs through this agreement.
Doctor, when there was Israeli attack on Doha, instead of retaliating, Qatar opted for diplomacy. It organized this Arab OIC summit, then Security Council meeting was called. All diplomatic options were exercised. So, do you think these diplomatic options were enough to build up pressure against Israel? And that is enough, or some other options must be explored, like any possibility of any military option? So far, Qatar has only exercised and gathered support from the Muslim world in its favor and against Israeli aggression.
Qatar faces a difficult dilemma because Qatar has played a very active and leading role in conflict management and conflict resolution in the Middle East.
Exactly.
It has a major role. If you recall, when it allowed Afghan Taliban to open
Exactly,
its
that was
office in
political
Doha,
office.
and similarly,
Doha
it
Agreement.
hosted. Yes, Doha Agreement was signed there, and you also recall that it was hosting Hamas leadership, which was
Exactly.
targeted recently by Israel, and so it has the wisdom and the capability to play a major peaceful role across different regions and countries, despite difficult challenges. So that is appreciable. However, it has a challenge in terms of geography and resources. It has some of the most advanced weapon systems in the world. It flies Rafale aircraft, the same
True.
which India used
has.
against Pakistan.
True.
It has F-15 latest modern US-made fighter aircraft, which have been doing exercises with Pakistan as well. However, there is a technical limitation that they have. Even if they decide to consider military retaliation, their fighter bombers cannot go all the way to Israel and come back unless some country allows the use of its airspace or refueling of the Qatari fighters. So that is something that unilaterally is technically and operationally not possible for Qatar.
And it's preventing them for any possible retaliation.
And that is why I have argued earlier that Israeli fighters, 15 Israeli fighters which attacked Qatar, could not reach Qatar.
Could not reach Qatar.
Without the help of a third country providing them the mid-air refueling
and space and sport.
to come to attack there and safely go back. So that has really increased the threat perception among the Arab nations.
And that third country has not been identified yet.
I mean, it's not technically possible for any fighters from Israel to fly fully armed,
Directly.
fully fueled directly to Qatar and go back without receiving
Refueling.
mid-air refueling. And the only two countries deployed in Middle East which have a mid-air refueling capability are the US and British Royal Air Force. So without that technical support
And
logistical
refueling.
support, they can't do it. Thirdly, they used American fighters to attack. American-built fighters to attack Qatar. If America wanted to stop and prevent them, they could have asked Israel that you should not use US-provided weapon systems against a peaceful country, which is another ally of the US, Qatar. So I think it makes sense that why Qatar is constrained in terms of options. But secondly, it's not just about retaliation as a symbolic gesture.
True.
It is also its ability that whether if it escalates into a long-drawn conflict, can it sustain itself in a long-drawn conflict with Israel? And I think that in all reality, that is not possible if individually and unilaterally Qatar decides to retaliate. Lastly, I think they are considering diplomatic and lawfare options. They have met
Qatar is
considering lawfare options, legal options of sanctions and war crimes, that sort of thing. But I think kinetic response it may not be the likely and affordable choice for Qatar in the foreseeable future without any third parties' considerable help.
Since in the opening I discussed the latest offensive of Israel in the Gaza, I would just like to need your quick, crisp and short analysis after launch of this ground offensive in Gaza, and massively Israeli forces are targeting civilians. So how do you see the future of peace? This aggression will continue, and finally, do you think Palestinians in the Gaza will be evicted? They will be thrown somewhere? Because the current situation in last 24 hours, there have been more than 70 aerial attacks on different parts of Gaza Valley.
I think one thing is very clear in the last 77 years is the consistency of Israeli policy. The Israeli policy has been very consistent on Palestine, on this region. And that has three key characteristics. Number one, they use conflict for occupying territory of other countries. Secondly, it removes people who've been settled there for thousands of years, displaces them. And number three, it brings in Jews to settle down.
Illegal settlement.
Yes,
exactly.
to build new illegal settlements in the occupied territory. This process has been going on for the past decades, and it has not been stopped by any of its neighbors. But the irony or the tragedy is that many of the neighbors, including Jordan, including Syria, including Lebanon, including Palestinian government, and also Egypt, have peace accords with them. Their territory is under occupation. Yes. In contrast, these countries like Qatar, Iraq, Yemen have only faced Israeli attack, but not occupation. And there are countries which are neighboring Israel and their land is occupied and they are seeking peace with Israel and tolerating Israeli expansionism and aggression on a regular basis. So it is very evident that there was an absence of balance of power in the Middle East. Israel was in reality the dominant power, which Iran to some extent attempted to balance, counterbalance in the region. But after the recent conflict and the weakening of Hezbollah, Houthis and Hamas, I think Israel has become more belligerent, more aggressive, and the prospect of peace is quite remote because I do not see a balancer, a country willing to contain the hegemony and the expansionism and the military preponderance of Israel within Middle East. So the most important historic lesson, Mr. Mateen Haider, is that in the absence of power, power has never been constrained.
Finally, we are close to the program. In the backdrop of this landmark agreement between Pakistan and Saudi Arabia, changing security dynamics, you have put an extraordinary light and analysis on that. How you see Pakistan's future, right? Pakistan, against whom India have been propagating, it's diplomatically isolated. It has won that marka-e-haq against India. Its diplomacy was proven. It hosted CENTCOM conference and many things, and now agreement. So in one sentence, how you see Pakistan's future now in the Middle East and beyond?
I think Pakistan has been very wise, careful and responsible in the last 8 decades to navigate its position and growing role in international peace, to promote international peace and security and stability at all multilateral forums.
True.
And Pakistan has surmounted difficult times during bipolar world order, during unipolar world order, and also in the current transient phase, and commanded and enjoyed trust, respect, and admiration from several emerging, resurgent, and status quo world powers.
Oh, beautiful.
And right now, I think Pakistan is perhaps in the most impressive phase of its diplomatic history. Because I recall the golden words of our great founder, Quaid-e-Azam Muhammad Ali Jinnah, that Pakistan will never be found wanting in promotion of peace, security around the world, and will never lag behind any other nation in the support of the oppressed people. or in the exposition and condemnation of oppression and occupation around the world. So Pakistan today, I would say, would have made its founder proud that today, in 2025, it has not only decisively and comprehensively embarrassed and defeated the world's fourth largest armed forces,
Exactly.
India, but also conducted itself so responsibly and carefully that it simultaneously enjoys the trust and respect of enemies and foes alike. And now the most important source and center of the Islamic world trusts
Saudi
Pakistan
Arabia, exactly.
with the security and cooperation in order to meet its own security and defense needs. So now Pakistan is no longer a South Asian power. It is now an international power in true sense of the word, in terms of its diplomatic conduct, in terms of its hard power being used lawfully, carefully, and responsibly to promote peace, security, and stability, not just in South Asia, but in West Asia, Central Asia, and Middle East. So what else do you expect
Exactly.
from a global power? So I think other countries need to learn from Pakistan that you need to be lawful, you need to stand with the international law, you need to stand with the international community, you need to stand for principles, you need to stand with the international institutions, but also maintain a power so that your quest for peace is not mistaken for weakness.
Thank you so much indeed, Dr. Syed Muhammad Saab, for your in-depth strategic analysis on this extraordinary defense and security cooperation agreement between Pakistan and Saudi Arabia. And today's your important take in this program is that Pakistan is not only a South Asian power now, it is now an international power. And one of the most important Arab world countries, Saudi Arabia, trusts Pakistan. Thank you so much once again for your time and for your this kind analysis for our program Insight. And dear viewers, till our next program, goodbye and Khuda Hafiz.